I want to talk about Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam again for the Universal title again. Okay, so this match is definitely happening at SummerSlam. Roman Reigns beat Bobby Lashley on Raw Monday to become the number one contender for the Universal title, and Brock will be coming back to Raw this Monday night, and I guess they're going to shoot an angle to build up to this match. Now, their first match they ever had was back during WrestleMania 31. And even though the build-up to that match was not the best, with the exception of that first promo they cut the night after the Royal Rumble in the Raw that was like snowed in, they had some really good stuff on that show between the two. The build-up was it just wasn't very good. And Roman Reigns did not get the job done at Mania 31, but that match was really good. Go back and watch that match at Mania 31. It was a really, really good match. Seth Rollins, of course, would cash in that night and become the champion. Now, other than that, they have faced off in multi-man matches. There was a three-way that I don't know if anybody even remembers this match. There was a three-way between Roman, Dean Ambrose, and Brock Lesnar at the February pay-per-view of 2016. I don't think anybody has ever talked about that one. Then there was the four-way at SummerSlam last year. So they have been in several matches together. Then we have, of course, the singles one-on-one match at WrestleMania 34, which a lot of people did not like. Now, I liked that match. I really enjoyed that match because it was really brutal. Now, keep in mind, I was in the fourth row at WrestleMania this year, and I saw, again, I don't know if it translated well to TV, but I saw this guy Roman getting thrown around, and it hurt. It hurt. So at the very least, the guy does deserve respect for taking those kind of bumps. But after that, we had the Greatest Royal Rumble. And at the Greatest Royal Rumble, Brock and Roman had that cage match, which was starting to get pretty good, but then had this really weird fuck finish that was very poorly thought out. And nothing really exciting happened in that match, even though it was starting to get good. Like, I was getting into it as I was watching it. It ultimately just wound up being a nothing match. And since then, we haven't even seen Brock since then. Now, what WWE has tried to do for the past, actually before WrestleMania, through Roman Reigns' character and through what they've been doing on television, is they've been trying to convince us, and also Paul Heyman's promos, they've been trying to convince us that Brock Lesnar doesn't care about the fans. He doesn't care about wrestling. He just wants to go back to the UFC, and he's just in it for the money. Now, some of that is true, but WWE has magnetized this storyline into making people think that Lesnar is just, this selfish dude, when it was WWE that agreed to make him this deal where he has limited dates. It was WWE that put the belt on him. He was supposed to drop the belt at WrestleMania, and WWE and Vince McMahon got cold feet, and they kept the belt on him and extended his contract a bit. That's all WWE's decision. And them taking this idea of Lesnar being a good businessman and twisting it into he only cares about himself, maybe there's truth to that, but you don't have to make it a storyline to where the fans actually turn on Brock. And that is what has happened. The fans have actually, at least some of them, have turned on Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar went from being this guy who, and think back, I want y'all to think back to 2012 when he first came in, and think about his first few years, his first run, like from 2012 to, 2016, let's say, 2015, 2016, when he had those really great matches with CM Punk. He had Triple H match, John Cena match. He had great matches, and he worked hard. He was this guy who was always a part-timer. He's always been a part-timer since coming back in 2012, but when he would fight, when he would wrestle, it would always be special. And even if the fans didn't like him in the match or he wasn't a fan favorite, they still, watched him. They still watched him, and a lot of them did love him. And now they've pretty much done this job because of, again, this is all like wrestling psychology, so it makes sense. They've pretty much turned the fans against this guy now. Now the fans don't want him around. And the thing is that the reason why is because he's the champion. If he wasn't the champion and he was just a guy who was a part-timer and appeared, at 4 pay-per-views a year or whatever, 5 pay-per-views a year, it wouldn't even be an issue because it wasn't even an issue last year. This was not even an issue last year. There were very few fans complaining about Lesnar not being around. And he was champion since WrestleMania of last year, since Mania in Orlando 33. So what they've done is they've done the classic wrestling booking trick, which to me I got to give him credit for, because it's hard to do that nowadays with these smarky marky fans, where they've pretty much convinced them that this dude is bad for business when really he never was until now. And the idea behind them gutting Lesnar was to get Roman over. The entire idea behind this storyline that they tried to do with Lesnar not caring and Roman being the hardworking guy who's always there every week is the same shit they try to do with John Cena and The Rock, like in 2012. When John Cena would come out and make fun of The Rock for being via satellite, but guess what? The fans just never booed The Rock because he's the freaking Rock. It doesn't matter if Rock appears once a year. He's The Rock, and he's earned their respect, right? He's The Rock. That's it. Brock's not quite The Rock, especially when it comes to Hollywood and, having a casual fan base know who he is. The sports fans know who he is for sure, but the casual fans don't. But I think he is more well-known than some people give him credit for. But when it comes to Brock and Rock, the difference was that Rock wasn't really champion. Like, Rock had the belt for, 3 months? Beat CM Punk in January, rematched him in February, then wrestled Cena in March. Would I have preferred more Rock matches? Absolutely. But that's just not what they do. They bring in these part-timers and put the belts on them for a short time. But with Lesnar, he had it for a year and a half, and it wasn't a problem until now. And the entire idea behind it was to get Roman Reigns over. Well, guess what? You have succeeded at getting the fans to hate Brock Lesnar, but you have utterly failed at getting the fans to cheer freaking Roman Reigns. Because the fans still don't care about Roman Reigns, which is bad, because Roman had a really good match with Bobby Lashley on Raw and a really good match with him at the pay-per-view. Roman Reigns is a hard-working guy. If that's a problem, if you have a problem with me saying that, then, you're living in a different planet than I am, because he is a hard-working guy. But I understand why the fans don't want this guy to be champion, because he does come off manufactured. He does come off like the guy that WWE's pushing down your throats when you don't want this guy to be the top guy. You want Seth Rollins to be the top guy. Maybe some of you want Bobby Lashley. I honestly would have preferred if they did go with Bobby Lashley and Lesnar, because at least that's a fresh match. You've got the UFC, not the UFC, because Lashley was never in UFC, but the MMA kind of thing. Their whole backstory. They're both wrestlers. They're both big, jacked up dudes. You could have had a great match where, Lashley and Lesnar finally went at it, and that would be Lesnar's swan song. And by the way, Lesnar's last match under contract is at SummerSlam, and he's booked for Monday Night Raw the next night. So that tells me that Lesnar is dropping that belt by Monday, without question, after SummerSlam. The Monday after SummerSlam, he won't be champion anymore. There have been some people saying, maybe he'll hold on to it. Maybe WWE will swerve us and they'll do a tournament. Because then maybe they'll do a thing where he does hold on to it and then goes to UFC as the WWE champion, because he's probably going to fight Daniel Cormier early next year. I've already done videos on that. But that's going to happen, unless something catastrophic happens that is planned. So that being said, and he'll probably come back to WWE afterward, but so that being said, Roman Reigns, it didn't work. People still don't care about Roman Reigns. Had it been Brock versus Seth, Brock versus, Kevin Owens, there's so many different guys, then I think it would have been a different story. But the fans don't give a crap about Roman Reigns, so this has done nothing. So what's it going to mean when Roman beats Brock? Because I feel like them having Brock beat Roman every single time is such a bad idea, because it's going to end up really, and I've said this before, Lex Lugering Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns can't get the job done, just like Lex Luger failed to in 93 and in 88 in NWA and in WWE. If you don't know about that story, maybe I'll do a video on that, because that was a long time ago. Some fans probably don't know about that. But the point is that the bottom line to that is you can't keep giving a guy chances and having him fail. Like, whenever you have a babyface, a hero, if he keeps failing over and over again, people lose faith in him. And Roman needs all the help he can get right now to get over, and that's just not going to do it. So they kind of booked themselves to a corner, because if he does beat Lesnar, which he probably will, the fans are just not going to care. So the backup plan, from what I'm hearing, or from what I'm seeing, is that they're doing a Braun Strowman Kevin Owens match for the briefcase. I could totally see Kevin Owens taking that briefcase in that match and then cashing in at the end of the night. Roman beats Brock, maybe by some fluke, I don't know. Brock snaps and beats up Roman, and then Kevin Owens cashes in, and then Kevin Owens, because he becomes a Universal Champion, then we have a Roman-Kevin Owens feud that'll probably go for the rest of the year, I would guess, maybe until Survivor Series, right? That makes the most sense. I don't think Strowman is going to win the belt with the briefcase. That's more of a heel tactic, but I don't know. I mean, maybe he will be the one to cash in. I don't think so. I think they still have money in a Roman Reigns. I'm sorry, in a Brock Lesnar or Strowman match again next year if he comes back. And Strowman needs an opponent though. That's the only thing. But that being said, I think that yes, that Brock's dropping the belt probably to Roman because Roman has to beat him at some point. I mean, it's just very anticlimactic that it's happening here and not at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? It's just very anticlimactic. But at the same time, the crowd shat on Roman Reigns so badly. He's just not the guy right now. I'm not saying he'll never be the guy, but I'm saying right now the fans just don't want this guy to be champion. And that's why they have that Kevin Owens backup plan, because he probably won't be. He'll win and then boom, he's gone. So, who knows? But anyways, that's pretty much the story of Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, the final encounter until Brock comes back next year or whenever he does come back. I'm pretty sure he'll be back. I, for one, am not excited for this match. I want to see it because it's a spectacle, but I just don't care anymore. And it's probably going to be the same stuff we've seen from these guys, lots of big moves over and over again, the same moves over and over again. Maybe they'll do something different, but I don't know. But they've really kind of screwed the pooch here because people just don't care. I'm much more excited about what's going on SmackDown than anything on Raw right now. That's just my opinion. SmackDown's been pretty damn good lately. Anyways, that's it. I'll talk to y'all soon. And, let me know your thoughts about Brock and Roman down below. See you soon.